Can we see Verla?
Hey,
Yep. Okay. And we're going to be doing a little board game for us, and Steve's going to tell us. But before we do that, is that somebody knocking on your door, Matt? Maybe you want to clean that up before. Look right behind you. I can hear it here. Oh, there he is! Oh my God! It's
What's
Dan
up, man?
Patriss. What's up, Dan?
What's going on, guys? How's it going, Riddle?
Good, Dan. How you doing, baby?
All right, man.
Dan from the Geek All-Stars checking in to play a board game with us. It's a board game show, Matt, so we're going to have a pop-in guest do it for us, right?
That is awesome.
Dan, how's it going? Here's your chance. Plug the show, man. For those who haven't heard the podcast, I don't know who hasn't.
We're, one of the co-hosts, Verla, nice to meet you.
Hi.
Riddle, an often guest. I think he's got his 10-timer jacket somewhere. It's probably off screen somewhere. He's got his smoking jacket for being on a show so many times. We're just the Geek All-Star has been around, myself and Chris Kirkman. Just talk about board games, card games, and anything else we really feel like talking about. And often we like to do fun little drafts and have great people on the show like Riddle.
I'm in the middle of the current episode right now.
Nice. Hopefully we haven't put you to sleep yet.
It just I'm a chance to check it out, Dan. So I will be doing that. Steve, I'm having trouble. I'm not able to get you up on it tonight. It's not letting me do the audio. So yeah, I'm not sure what we're gonna do there. But so let's see if I can figure this out. All right, so we're gonna do a game. We're throwing it out for the first time, Dan. You and Matt are gonna be our guinea pigs for a game we call Game Bataille. The way this game is gonna work is that the four of us have chosen a game, and we need the chat crew in on this one. So the four of us have chosen a game from each of four categories. Let me get that up. No, that is Cow, Tiger, Santa Claus. That is not.
Also an excellent game.
That's not the right one. There we go. Okay, we got it. We got four categories, and what we're going to do is I'm going to name the category in all of the games, and then the four of us are going to talk about those games, right? And at the end, we're going to start eliminating those games one by one. There's a bunch of games, and chat crew, you get to actually pick the last one. So Steve's going to be monitoring the chat, and whichever one you guys pick, what we're looking at is in that category, it's that game that's it. There's 6 games go in, and only one's coming back out. It's the one game you would keep. That's the one you would keep out of these. So any questions about how the game is played? Ready to go? Okay, Verla? Good. Okay. First category is shockingly category, right? The Feld round. So I'm going to throw out 6 games, and then we're going to start talking. Now, chat crew, I'm going to tell you that we sent our choices to Steve. We don't know what each of us are actually pulling for. I'm fully expecting Matt and Dan to try to throw us off. And Dan, by the way, Matt's been doing it all episode. He's been throwing out little hints to make us think that's the game he would play.
I know Riddle so well, I could probably pick out every game that he's in every category that he likes the best.
Verla, let's keep an eye on what. All right, the Feld round. We got Castles of Burgundy, Bruges, Trajan, Carpe Diem, Amerigo, and Macau. All right, who wants to go first? Verla, why don't you go first? Tell us.
I'm going to go for Carpe Diem.
Carpe Diem, really?
Diem. I love tile-laying games, and I got really inspired because yesterday I was looking, and they are coming out with a way prettier version of it. I think next year. The box is white. They got rid of that hideous cover art. The tiles, the pictures of the tiles, you can actually see what the buildings are, and it's going to be so improved over the current version, and I vote for that one.
And you agree, Dan? Is that Carpe Diem? Is that the one that should last?
The only thing about Carpe Diem feels like the game that Mr. Feld, somebody said to him, "Hey, we owe Aaliyah one more game." And they're like, Carpe Diem. I mean, Mr. Feld, he's way too nice to do something like that. But I mean, it's a fine game. I just don't know why they had to put out a new, because people couldn't follow Paths of a Star. They had to put out a new version. So
yeah, I didn't get that. That was ridiculous. They better put the star back in this 3rd edition
I agree.
in 2 years.
Yep.
But I still love it. I would still totally upgrade. Yes, Chris,
it's hard because every one of these games are great. I mean, they're all it's Feld, so they're all great. But
Carpe great. I've demoed it twice, and I can't even play the game. I mean, I played it on BGA. I just find the board ugly, and I don't see what people like about this game. Matt, back me up here. Come on, man.
I mean, it's got that really well-known Aaliyah, just luster and amazing production quality.
Say it, Riddle. Say it, Riddle.
No, I'm not. I'm saving it. I'm saving it because I don't hate Carpe Diem.
Thank you.
I don't love Carpe Diem, but it's good. I think it's a good game. I've only got to play it twice, and I'm going to very much sort of echo, that I also love tiling, and I think
Thank you, Don.
No, I'm holding off. I'm being good. So I think very much that I love just a nice little tile draft. I have no major complaints. It wasn't amazing, but I think it's a good, solid game.
I don't think any of his games, especially on this list, none of this list are hateable. There's definitely a greatness factor from 1 to 6 of them.
So
I just
Dan,
I mean, if anybody could make a cube tower in a Euro work, it's Stefan Feld, which is pretty amazing to take that game. I mean, it's highly underrated of a game, Amerigo, and the cube tower is done very, very well. I don't think it's the best of those games, but I think it's horribly underrated of a game.
That's a cylon move. There's no way you want Amerigo to go all the way through. I think it's Castle of Burgundy. I absolutely think it's Castle of Burgundy.
Castles is good, but as Dan knows, my favorite Feld is Bruges. I love it. I think it's actually, you know what? Okay, here's the thing. Bruges, it's a game. All right. Like, I'm not even gonna be like subtle or silent on this one. I wanted to like Bruges so much, and I just didn't. I can tell you why. Because I don't mind a card game, and I don't mind kind of having the idea that, hey, I got to go look for the thing, right? But of all the Feld games, one of the things I truly love about them is when you just get to settle down and stare at your board and, kind of figure out what you want to do and do your thing. Well, Bruges has this whole thing. It's like, hey, I'm going to do all this stuff and then hope I draw the card I need.
Right.
And then maybe you do and maybe you don't. And it's like, oh, it's so, when you're just drawing those cards, you're like, nope. And I'm just like, you can't put that in a game like Bruges for me. Like everything else in Bruges is well done. And then that one thing kind of just made it tough for me.
I do think, I know it's an aside, but I think that when Queen's putting out the new Bruges, I don't know which one it is, whatever city it's called. I think they're actually putting where you can choose what color you draft from each time.
Oh, okay.
Which completely changes that game quite a bit. See, Bruges, I really love Bruges. It suffers from what I call yukata-itis. Whenever a new game comes on Yukata and I can't wait to play it, and I play it like 3 or 4 games at a time, invariably when I'm done with it, I hate the game. Like Bruges was always one of my favorites, and then I just so easily just got burned out. It's very rare that a game doesn't burn me out on Yukata. One of the games that does not burn me out is Castles of Burgundy, which is a fantastic game. Absolutely.
They've got Carpe Diem on there as well, and that does not burn me out.
That is very good. I do have to get it. That might be the next one I have to try out some more on there is Carpe Diem.
I'm going to have to call time on this. So we're going to have to make some decisions.
Okay.
You let off. You get to pick one of the games to just knock out. Well, 6 come in, but only 1 is going home. What game you knocking out?
Is it me? Sorry, I cut out for a little bit. I'm going to knock out Amerigo because that's the. Well, I haven't played a few of those, but I'm going to say no to that one.
All right, Dan, it's your turn for retaliation. What do you think?
No, I won't. I won't retaliate. I'll knock out. I'll knock out Trajan. It's a fine game, but I'm just gonna have to. I'm just gonna.
We're buddies. No, I agree. I think Trajan is complicated for complicated sake. Yes. Oh, it's interesting.
Only like the 3rd best game ever designed, but whatever you guys think is cool too. I mean, it's up to you. I mean, I don't know, Verla, are you with me at least? Do you like Trajan?
I haven't played Trajan yet.
Okay, that counts. Verla likes Trajan just as much.
No, Trajan. I love Trajan, by the way. I love Trajan, but I know that Riddle.
I think I'm gonna love it.
Oh, that's why.
I don't think I love it as much as Carpe Diem, though.
That was
Fair.
a hate draft.
Like
that was a hate draft.
Yeah,
that was a hate draft again. All right, so here's your chance, Matt. What you got?
So I'm gonna play with my heart. I'm not going to hate draft. I didn't like Castles of Burgundy for the longest time, and I played it recently, and I loved it. So with that, I do. I like it now. I think it's great.
Oh.
But I had a bad experience at first, and we never got back to it. And when I finally played it again, I'm like, wow, this is really good. So I'm going to eliminate one we didn't even talk about because it's Macau, and I'm going to eliminate Macau because Ben kicks my ass at it. right? That's my answer. So
I love Macau. I didn't pick it, but I almost picked it, but I knew Matt would probably eliminate it. Macau's great.
Yes.
So good.
All right. So I wish Steve was up here. Let's try to recap. So we knocked out Trajan, Amerigo, and Macau. And I'm going to knock out Carpe Diem. I apologize, Verla, but I'm knocking out Carpe. I just don't.
That hurts. That hurts.
Totally. All right.
How can you do that to the Overlord?
Gumbo Overlord. All right, chat crew, it's up to you. We've got Castles of Burgundy and Bruges. You guys get to knock it out. So we're gonna let them start deciding on that. There's a little bit of a lag on the live show, so we're gonna move to that next category. While this is your chance, Steve's gonna be looking, chat crew. You have a choice between Castles of Burgundy or Bruges. Whichever one you pick, that's who you're knocking out. So if you throw up that word, that's the one you're knocking out. Let's go to the second round while they're doing that. And we'll keep an eye out while they're doing that, Matt and Dan and Verla. So the second round is the Ube round. Ube, oh, Don, look, it's already coming out. Goodbye. All right. So we got, the Ube round. We've got Agricola, Caverna, A Feast for Odin, Bonanza, Patchwork, and Fields of Arl. Dan, you're on the clock this time. Tell us on a game.
So you could pick Agricola or you can take Better Agricola, which is Caverna. So once Caverna came out, there's no reason to ever play Agricola ever again. So I'll just say that. Plus, I hate feeding mechanics, and Caverna makes it a lot easier to feed your people.
Caverna. Matt, is he right? Is Caverna Agricola 2.0?
You know, I this is going to be shocking. I've never played Caverna.
Okay.
I know. Right. So I played Agricola. I like Agricola. I don't love Agricola, but it's a good game. Caverna just never, because I knew it was Agricola 2.0 and Agricola is sort of middling for me, I kind of let it go. I love Uwe. I think he does so much cool stuff. To that point, I'm going to make sure that we don't lose track of the greatest two-player game ever designed, Patchwork.
I thought you were going to say Baseball Highlights 2045. I don't know what.
Also excellent, but Patchwork, I love it.
So why is it the greatest game?
Because it took the first kind of, it introduced us back into this like polynomial craze that we're in today, and just I think a two-player game like that. I played the app, a game that I could play hundreds of games of on the app and never get tired of is truly a gem. In the sense that each play is so tactical between the piece that you want and your board that you never get tired of it.
All right, we're getting a call back before we go to Verla. Bruges is out. It's Castles of Burgundy for the win. Steve posted up in the chat who got the points there on Castles of Burgundy, and then back to Verla. Yeah, I know I did. I voted for Castles of Burgundy. Anybody else?
I did too.
No, nice.
Oh, Riddle. What was your choice? Was it Trajan?
Trajan,
right? Yeah,
because it's amazing.
All right, so I'll let Steve update the chat there with who's got the points on it. But Verla, up to you. Did Matt Riddle convince you?
It's pretty close because I love me some Patchwork, but I'm gonna go for A Feast for Odin. It's great solo.
Feast for Odin, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Feast for Odin, more of that tiling, polyomino goodness, but on a wider scale and a little more challenging.
Interesting. I guess the one thing I didn't realize, obviously, if you want to retire as a board game designer, do polynomials because there's a million of them out there. So obviously they're selling, right? Polynomials.
But A Feast for Odin seems to be like the pinnacle. That's what is on everybody's wish list if they don't have it already. Yeah, Feast for Odin.
Mine was tough. I like Patchwork. I enjoyed Caverna, but the one that I played the most, mostly in app form, by the way, is Agricola. It's got it. It was one of the first of the apps that I really, really enjoyed. Going, wow, this is not just an app. This is a really good game. It had this I don't want to say it was a solo game, but it sort of had things that it would introduce as you would learn the game and play the game and have to develop. I played that thing a ton when it came out. Patchwork is great, and my mom still doesn't understand Bonanza. I don't know why. She doesn't like any other game. She's an amazing blackjack player.
It's so good.
We can't teach her Bonanza. Just doesn't understand the fields part. I don't know how you can be so good at blackjack and not get Bonanza. So I feel bad.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say Verla's going to hate me because every one-liner I have is about a game that she's picked. But I want to say, because I was waiting for Riddle to say it, because I think he said it on my show one time, that a Feast for Odin is a game with 80 spaces where you're really only going to use maybe 7 in the whole game. I think that was a Riddleism.
I don't think that was me, but I agree with it. Now, but that said, I do like a Feast for Odin.
No, I do like it. It was just a one-liner that I had come up with, but it is a excellent game.
I have not played it. It looks like Frankenstein to me. It looks like a billion things all, just smashed into one. Am I right?
It is, but not in a bad way.
So Evan says perfect family game is Bonanza. I was tempted. I was really tempted to go Bonanza, but I'm going to go with the old daddy. I'm going to go with Agricola. I think Agricola is the best one out there. At least I want you to think that.
Let me see if I can do the point. See, can you guys see right there that if you zoomed in, those are 2 expansions for Bonanza right there.
All right, we're going solo. Let's see if we can see that. Yeah. Okay, there it is.
It's the gangsters and the whatever one of the other expansions. Bonanza is great. I just love it's such a good family game. You have to put a cap on the trading point, or else you'll just sit there and try to argue over a trade forever. But it's a fine family game.
I think you're stalling, Dan. You're gonna
no. Oh, am I up first?
Which game are you going to knock out?
I'll eliminate Fields of Arl since we didn't really talk a whole lot about it. I think as much as I love Uwe, I think he's a little going over the top with the Polyominoes. So I think Fields of Arl kind of feels like that tacked on Polyomino game where he didn't really need to do a whole lot more other than some of the other ones. And I think there was even one after that too. Was it Indian Summer? Was that the other one? That
trilogy?
Yeah.
It's too much.
And Spring Meadow.
Spring Meadow.
They kind of were overboard, but it had marmots in Spring Meadow.
Yeah, I did like.
What other game has marmots?
And supposedly all those games came from basically pieces and parts of Feast for Odin, right? At least that's what I've heard. So
ish, yeah, I think that's pretty fair. Yeah, Ube does a lot of the self copying, right? He takes pieces of his own thing, does a new thing, and he's got a lot of that.
Riddle, what you got? We got Fields of Arl knocked out. What are you going?
We're gonna kiss Caverna goodbye because I played it.
He owed that to me. He owed it to me on that one.
That was payback. What were you going to say? Why are you knocking out Caverna?
Just because I haven't played it. That's it.
I do think you would like it, Riddle. Riddle, you need to try it at some point.
I might. It was a tiny bit of spite for this guy, but
it's okay. Just wait till next round, Riddle.
I love them all next round.
I've played all these games except a Feast for Odin. I'm going to knock out a Feast for Odin. I'm sorry. Putting the stamp down.
Wow, PJ. Again?
It's out. All right, so was that your fault? Hey,
I was in charge of the show again.
Okay, so just to recap, we got Fields of Arl, Feast for Odin, and Caverna waiting on Verla. What are you going to pick, Verla?
Bye Agricola.
Oh no, I deserve that one. Yeah, I deserve that. Okay. All right, chat crew, it's on you. All we have left, surprisingly, out of the entire Ube universe, we're down to Bonanza. I think there was some hate trap. Because I don't think Bonanza and Patchwork is the best 2 games. But let's see which one of you two, Board Game Bataille, who's going to survive the Board Game Bataille, chat crew, Bonanza or Patchwork? Remember, the word that you're putting up is someone you're going to knock out. So it means you want the other game to survive. And let's go on to the 3rd round. This time it's Matt's round, the Pfister round. Alexander Pfister, one of my favorite designers. I think you're a fan, right? Yeah.
Oh, I love him.
We got Great Western Trail, Maracaibo, Mombasa Broom Service, Isle of Skye, and Oh My Goods. I'm curious. This is tough choices here.
It is. So it actually really does show Pfister's range. I mean, he's done so much. Like, I'll be honest. My admittedly one play of Maracaibo wasn't the best. It was awesome because I got to play with Dan, which was awesome. Yep. But I didn't love the game. Frankly, it was okay. Some of it was just like I didn't love just ripping through cards at 100 miles an hour, trying to find the ones you want and then having to use. I love multi-use cards a ton, but that one didn't. It was fine. It was a perfectly reasonable game. I love Mombasa, but of all the games on here, if I'm being 100% honest, Isle of Skye is genius, and I am. All right,
Matt, we can be friends. We can be friends.
Oh, Verla, it is one of the best games ever designed. And I know that's a co-design. It was Alexander Pfister and the same person who did Bruce with. I can't remember his name. Pelican is his BGG name. So I remember talking to him afterwards, being like, because him and I had spoken in the past about other things, and that game is just so good. And I haven't got to play any of the expansions yet. I want to, but I think the original's so great as is that I just haven't needed them. So
it's Andreas Pelikan.
Thank you, Andreas Pelikan. Yep.
Okay.
I think it's a good choice. I'm not as big a fan of the Isle of Skies, that drafting mechanic that everybody else seems to like. I kind of lose myself because it's economy and it's drafting and it's placement and it's supposed to be
in auctiony too.
Auctiony, right? But it's supposed to be this kind of breezy little family game, and it feels a lot more than that to me. The two that I really like, Great Western Trail and Broom Service. Everybody talks about those two games, and I'm gonna tell you, Broom Service might be one of my top 10 games of all time. Broom Service has got an amazing mechanic in terms of, are you gonna be that brave witch, or are you gonna be the scared witch? And you know that the person behind you knows what you think you're gonna do, but are you gonna do what they think you're gonna do, or are you really gonna do the opposite? So, and plus you got all the movement around the board. So Broom Service and Great Western Trail, that's my two. But Broom Service, I think, one of my top 10 games, I would have to be at. What do you think, Verla? Am I right?
I'm going to have to disagree, but I haven't played Broom Service yet. I'll probably love it because Pfister is one of my favorite designers as well. But I'm going with Matt and Isle of Skye. Again, back to that tiling theme. But like Dawn was saying in the chat here, they didn't feel like it worked very well for 2 players, which I totally agree, and I won't play it at 2. But you get 3 to 5, 4 to 5 is really that sweet spot. And normally I don't like auction games and economic games and everything. And I feel like what that adds though to this tile laying game is just enough to not be overwhelming in those mechanics that I don't usually like, and just ties it all together so perfectly. My family and I have been playing it for a couple of years now, and just we never get sick of it.
Well, we got Steve with the big update. Matt takes the early lead, 6 points.
Wow, Matt, you actually picked Bonanza?
I love Bonanza.
Wow.
In a million years, I would never have picked that. You would pick that. That's an excellent job.
It's the first Ube I owned. I love it.
I mean, I absolutely love it, but I didn't pick that. It's amazing. Good job, Dan.
So, Dan, did Verla convince you about Isle of Skye? Or you?
I absolutely love Isle of Skye, but since we've talked about it so much already, I do love Isle of Skye, and it may be my pick, maybe not. But I have to say, we have woefully not talked enough about Great Western Trail. Such an absolutely great game.
True.
You know, a game now. I'm an old folk. Yeah, all you guys are still in your late 20s. I understand that. But when I was growing up, there was a great game. Do you guys remember Bonkers? Do you remember Bonkers? It was kind of the game. You would put things out on the board, and when you got to them, it'd be like you would go back 3 or up 4. That's what Great Western Trail feels like, because when you put things on the board, as you get to them, you're doing other things. You're kind of creating the board. I really love that thing. And then you pass go and collect $200 at the end of the round of Great Western Trail. But just kind of having all the choices you have as far as where you're going, who you're really investing with, whether you're playing the deck building game of the game, or you're trying to other ways. There's such a bunch of different ways to the paths to victory are great. It's such a solid game, and I love the weight of it as well. It's a solid game.
I'm smelling shenanigans here.
No, I'm with you on that as well. Isle of Skye and Great Western Trail are both in my top 10 all-time games.
I just wish they had an app for some of these other heavy games, like Great Western Trail had wish it had an app as well. You know, because Isle of Skye, and Isle of Skye does the thing. I don't know of many games that did it before them, and I think Cartographers does it as well. The A and B, A and C, or A and B, B and C, C and D, whatever it is.
I really like that.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So that's the 6. Matt, you got to make a tough choice. To me, this is a tough category. These are all good.
It really is.
They are. But it's a little easier for me because I'm going to play this straight. The one game on here I've not played is Broom Service. So bye-bye, Broom Service.
Really?
I haven't played it. I honestly haven't played it.
Stick my neck out and.
Yep. I played Witch's Brew, which I liked. I liked the kind of the, hey, it's a board. Got a board. I don't know. Haven't played it.
Dang it. All right. So, Don, yes, All My Goods is on the list. And let's go over that list again. It's Great Western Trail, Maracaibo, Mombasa, Broom Service, Isle of Skye, and Oh My Goods. Although no one talked about Oh My Goods, so that's what I'm going to go with. It's one of Steve, the name father loves that game, but no one really talked about it. So
it's on my shelf of opportunity. I haven't played it yet. I'm sure I'm going to love it.
I do love that name. I'll have to remember that. Shelf of Opportunity. I love that.
Oh, yeah. It's so much better than...
It's so much better than Shelf of Shame.
Mhm.
I like
No
that
shame
too.
here. There's no shame.
Verla-
It's just opportunities.
So far we've got broom service and broom service, of course, from Matt, and oh my goods, which I knocked out. What are you throwing out?
I'm going to get rid of Maracaibo. I had such high hopes for it, and I played it 2 or 3 times, and it really fell flat for me.
Dan
It's
doesn't.
excellent solo. It is actually an excellent
I've heard
solo game.
that.
Oh man, and the campaign, the kind of the story thing is really, Matt. That's the biggest regret I have, is not doing the whole story thing when we played it the first time. And I'm a terrible teacher, so I blame myself, Riddle.
You did an excellent job, man. It's just you did what you could. It's a above average game at best.
Well, Dan,
So I'm going to
you
eliminate.
got the last choice. What you got?
I'm going to eliminate Riddle's favorite game because I know he picked it. Mombasa.
I was so careful to never mention it, hoping that it would get through the chat. I thought I'm not going to say the word Mombasa the entire time we talk, so they can sneak through. Maybe I'll win in the chat, but
Dan, I think you snuffed it out. I think
No, there were a couple of games that I know that were Riddle's favorite, and I knew that was one of them from the very beginning. Actually, the next category, I'm totally clueless as to what Riddle loves, but I knew Mombasa was the one here.
Yep,
So what's left? We got chat crew. We got Great Western Trail and Isle of Skye. Is that right? That's the 2 we got. Great Western Trail.
Those are 2 good games. Yeah.
All right. So chat crew. Only one of those games is going to come out of this board game bataille. Name the one that you want to eliminate. In other words, don't put the one that you want. It's Isle of Skye or Great Western Trail. It sounds like a lot of our choices have already gotten knocked out. So I don't know if anybody's going to score any points this round. We will see.
Riddle's going to win with his Bonanza, I think.
He might. So we're going to go to the next round while Steve's counting up the votes for the chat crew. And that's the last round in the board game bataille. It's 2-player games. Interesting category here. Lost Cities, Targi, Jaipur, 7 Wonders Duel, Codenames Duet, and Hanamakoji. Wow, this is some really strong games. I'm curious. I'm going to go back to what is it? My turn to go first? Yeah, I guess I need to go first. Okay. Oh, this was honestly, Dan, you called it on the head. This was a tough category for me. I really like all these games. Man, I'm going to go with the one game out of all these I actually haven't played, and I've never played Codenames Duet. So I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna be eliminated in that one. But the one that I do like out of all these is one I play all the time on BGA with our friends, our Gateway friends, and that's 7 Wonders Duel. Super great way to transfer the big 7. It's a different game in my opinion, but it's just as fun. It really is. And you still got the drafting, you still got the economy, and you still got the combos. So I'm gonna go with 7 Wonders Duel. What do you think, Verla?
You know, that is tied for one of my choices. If I could choose more than one, I really love it. But I think I'm going to go with Targi instead. That game is just so elegant. Worker placement and the choices and the decisions you have to make are so tight. Yeah. It's on Yucata. I play that on there a lot. I've played it more on there than in person. But
Evan says Jaipur, which Matt Riddle, that's Isfahan, same designer. Isfahan, right? Dan, what you got?
So Jaipur also a good pick, and Targi also a good pick. I think a game that for kind of a lot of non-gamers and to get the game that I think feels more like a non-gamer game where it just almost feels like a deck of cards is Lost Cities. Feels like any other, you could probably, I'm sure you could just, it probably came from, like, it was inspired by something, whether it be some sort of weird solitaire variant or something like that. But a real solid game. It's a game that my wife and I like to play, it's one of those good beach games where you're just sitting out at the beach with a cold one with your spouse and watching the waves. It's just a very chill game.
Little Abita root beer there, and you're playing with your wife, right? So
that's right. Yep.
Steve's got the update. Great Western Trail, and I may have picked Great Western Trail.
Wow, good job. I'm gonna be last.
So did I.
So yeah, that's all right. So Steve will give us a recap. But yeah, Lost Cities, that might be my most played game. Dan, my wife used to love that game, and it was so easy to just pick it out, throw it out there, and play 2 or 3 games together. Matt Riddle, what you got?
So I played all these games, and they're all excellent. I don't get to play a ton of 2-player games, but I have actually played a few of these on BGA quite a bit. I just played my first game of Seven Wonders Duel, and it's great.
It's
and
awesome.
I played all the other ones as well. But honestly, my favorite, even though I kind of hate it, is Jaipur. So I love and hate Jaipur. It's like one of those love-hate things because I think it's so cool, like mechanically, and the way you do the trade with the middle and the camels. But then I get so frustrated because it's like, hope I draw red, or actually it's really hope red doesn't flop after I take brown. Right? That's Jaipur.
Right.
Like when I pull 2 brown in, and then he gets, the guy, my opponent gets red, yellow. I'm like, But
it sounds like you're complaining about Bruges.
It is. As you can see, I'm sensitive to that whole flop thing. But very similar complaint. I'm so good at this game, is what we call it. But
there should be a ding for that too.
There is. That said, Jaipur's great. I think it's an excellent game.
All right, so time to recap before we make our final choices. We've got Verla with 5, Matt with 6. I've got 5, and Dan, as they say in horse racing, you can see everyone. You can see them all with 2 points. All right, this is it. Time to make the choices. I guess it's me to go first, and I am going to knock out. Well, I told you which one I was going to knock out. Codenames Duet, because I haven't played that version. I played almost all the other ones, but just haven't played that one yet. Verla, what you got?
Hanamakoji. I have not played that. I've actually only played 2 of the games on here, but yeah,
Super
nobody
good.
talked about that one. We'll just say bye-bye.
It's so good. Hanamakoji. Dan?
So the other best game in this whole category, I'm going to have to eliminate. So I'm going to have to get rid of Tarji. It's such a good game, but I need some points here.
I feel like that's hate drafting.
It's so hate drafting.
So for me,
the best game.
Don't bring it back,
I
BJ.
I think we changed that. All right, Matt, what you got?
So I'm going to just get rid of what I think is probably the one that I'm playing. This is gamemanship, and I'm going to eliminate Seven Wonders Duel. Not because it deserves it, because I think it probably got votes. So
wow,
that's a great game.
Man.
Love Seven Wonders Duel, and a great app as well.
So
All
hard.
right, so am I correct? We've got Lost Cities and Jaipur. That's going to be the 2 choices.
I think so.
Tough choices there. All right, chat crew, it's all on you. Lost Cities and Jaipur. Make your choices. Your
only
chance.
one has camels. Just saying.
Only
This is true.
That's right. Let's
Riddle
see.
was so sandbagging on this one. He's so sandbagging. I know it.
I'm curious on this one. So, all right. So, Matt, what else is coming up? Anything you kind of mentioned? You kind of hinted about another game coming out with Motor City GameWorks. That's kind of in development. Is that what that is?
Yeah. So we've got basically Three Sisters is our focus for Motor City GameWorks, but we designed another, because we thought the world needs 3 more, I guess. Another kind of heavy roll and write called Motor City, which is, again, focused around the idea that you're kind of running a production facility. So you've got engineering and testing and the test track, and you've got sales, and you've got the production floor, and it's these zones on your sheet. And that's actually, it's based on a there's a multicolored dice action selection pool thing where you roll dice and they spread out across this kind of, again, a very East behind, we call it, to spread the dice out, and that's your action selection for the round. So that's our next big project. I mean, right now we're really, as far as coming out, Stellar's been out for a bit now, as you guys have talked about, and that's going really well for us. Coming up next probably is, we've got actually the follow-up to Stellar. I can't say anything else about it, but it's with Renegade again. It's got art for that. Yeah, it's a follow-up to Stellar, and it's got Beth. Nothing I can't say, and it's got amazing art by Beth Sobel again. So that's cool. That'll be probably next spring, and then Sleepy Hollow eventually. Any day. I mean, could be next month.
I'm a backer.
I appreciate that. I mean, it's been a long.
As am I.
Years.
Oh yeah, Dan, you are a backer, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got to play it, and I think Dan, you got to play it many times. We got a copy as a review copy through your buddy Chris Kirkman.
Yep.
I only played the first scenario, but I absolutely loved it. I love the artwork. I love the theme. I loved everything about it. Matt, while we're tolling it up, can you give us any kind of clue about what's going on? There's been a lot of changes. Are you guys involved in those?
Absolutely. So they took our original design, and they basically said, okay, so we really, again, probably mechanically that game was a big challenge for us mechanically, but then you get into the story part, and that's just not really our expertise. Right. So what Great in the Games wanted to do is they wanted to make sure that the mechanics that we kind of designed through the look, because we basically designed a 8-ish scenario game where every scenario was like a brand new game. Honestly, they all played differently. They all had different. I mean, your characters were progressing through this kind of world, through this story, but every single game was different because the map was different and the rules were different. So that was a huge challenge, and what we really needed a lot of help with which was kind of where Chris Kirkman stepped in and then Grid in the Game stepped in, was to really bring that story piece out of it. So they've made a lot of changes over the last year, more in regards to just story development and mechanical development to make sure that it felt like you were actually working through the story. So, and that has not been a nice strength, and we were happy to let them do it.
And it's been 2 years, and I still think about two of those characters, the Gravedigger and I forget her name, with the bow and arrow.
Emily.
Emily, I can picture them and the stuff that we did in the camp, because in getting it, in doing the review with them, I played the first scenario over and over and over with a bunch of different people. But I mean, I look, kudos to you guys. I love the mechanics, I love the system, and I love the story with this game. I just can't wait to get it. But let's see. Steve's got the totals for us. He says it looks like a tie in the last round, but thanks to Matt's gameship, it doesn't matter. Jaipur is the winner. I also went.
Did we have a 4-way tie with Jaipur?
I went with Jaipur. Everybody went with Jaipur?
Jaipur?
No. I did. Dan?
I did. Yeah.
Okay, so we had 3-way.
Yeah.
Matt has 8, BJ 7, Verla 5, and Dan, hey, you had a little pickup there at the end.
I'm used to losing every one of these games. I lose the drafting game on our show every time.
As we say, Dan also played.
I also played. Yep.
I like that. Dan also
played. I just got to hang out with some great people.